Kumasi and the Ashanti region, no, a unique case.
Ashanti could easily be a county. The Dagomba Kingdom could easily be a county.
The Dagwanis, the Dagbono, and should have been part of the Ashanti nation. Yeah, Dagomba Ashanti Kotoko. It should have been part of the Ashanti nation. Only no more that kind of relations, you know. And no another history to deal with. Do you get
but for colonialism, there would be no Ghana. In fact, it is most likely that Ashanti would have conquered the rest of Ghana. They had. It was the British that stopped them.
Ashanti region, which is a kingdom till today, because a certain Otumfor, a certain Ashanti nation, no, to say the Swaziland, any Lesotho Muyebino, any Botswana Muyebino.
Fortunately, we have had very wise Asantehnis who have not created a problem. But if you get an Asantehni who is troublesome, you can create problems.
If the overlord of the Ashanti nation is not moving, the Ashanti particularly, no, it is not possible. So Obi Betima sorry say, Kumerica enjoy the Omu Unity, Omu no. You must first overthrow the Ashanti king, which they know is not possible. Until Kumerica need the young fans say modern day terms. Now Omu no believe in the kingship. Until any year nan komedi kai ayoma country. To say the Papa Vimi, the Ashantis could have done that. Yes, and Tuamo, they were fighting. No, they were not fighting for the entire they were fighting for Ashanti nation. And in Komu and make say Ashanti for say young join
Ghana.
The Ghana na.
Okay.
So be it Nankabe Swaziland inbuilt in South Africa or Lesotho inside the South Africa. To apply for independence and as secession, you must have a certain big community, a certain background that all the people know a support to. The highest economic pool of the country or Western region. So Ashanti nation, our more certain kingdom, our tomb for till today. Uko kumasimene Ashanti ahimfufoni bi omdi omo no. Ontim ka se yentim ne Kofi Adom antena krom ha. What you say? Yeah, Pamo. No more.
Now, this is Wahab or react to the potential say Ghana ha tribe be and I say cool be to me break here away. Akuffo me omo en kasa country. Now, for context, this was him some time ago. Obra no reacted to the Western Togoland Bruhahano, and I found this video relevant and interesting because of this week. The Professor Ahwoi a statement okumeki and also Akoye Bruhaha. Yes, will be a different angles as to say whether the Ashantis and I say any other tribe be a potential some better home. Now, the Professor Ahwoi's statement was the fact that Kofi said the Ashantis at any point or more the tendency to succeed. What there's some big breaking away from Ghana, and according to Professor Ahwoi, said that is the reason why Ghana no ye designing yen decentralization only and democracy in such a way say. One group be too much power, as a woman feel too much empowered. As a me a break away. So in terms of development and Nieman Chichemu, how a national cake and all that, no, all those technicalities no more consider. In fact, trigger issues kakra Emma, a portion of the Ashantis believe say okay. So if said that is the mindset there, then it means that deliberately there are people or more air machinations against the development of Ashanti region because they feel like so when power region too much, they have the tendency to break away. And that was the interpretation according to Opinion friends Professor Ahwoi and someone or the Eba. According to our hub and some on the breakaway or the potential for any group as well may break away. When the Western Togoland issue came, Wahab HM said the Western Togoland forum they don't really qualify to be a group on betting break away from Ghana and was listed several issues a video TB. Obeche say the only ethnic groups are and as a group are more ever Ghana on betting break away. A few others be Ashantis and Asante Fonko or can the Dagombes which is the Dagbon Kingdom, the Gas State and Akwamufobi and all that. But then Ninkasa enemy in say penny analysis and in the diplomacy in Nadia way in say Ashanti for potential to break away and form an independent country, even within the Ghana, even within this country, high, it's always been there. And said the Professor Ahwoi Kayano, it takes one semi troublesome Asante Hene to call the Ashanti and answer to make the Ashanti a whole nation on its own. Wahab some so confirm say indeed, sad no ewo. And at any point, Asante Hinibia or the Ashanti Kingdom, Akunya no be movie, or rise will be decided or ten hono. A bit easy because they have the numbers, they are united, or for a well coordinated group. So far, Ghana, Omo, and as only leader, sorry, the Ubrikia, only being followers. Perfaruka Hamsama Wabiti in the say, I was say, if we are doing I am the people are almost air fighting as almost person, they don't really qualify. And the people also qualify more potential some better monocrano. They are not really causing that trouble. That's all the qualifications they qualify a group B and I say a certain tribe as all monto free Ghana. The Western Togoland they don't really meet it. However, the Ashanti kingdom and some other kingdoms in the tribe or Ghana or meet it. But even with them, Oma is silent. And that will give you the details and the history and the Nema Hodwa. If you say Asante Fono, it process here. And more it me for me. And more qualifies at any point will be rising here. It is easy to make Ashanti like a full country on its own. Or just say the Ashanti kingdom is still a kingdom and the potential is still there. It only takes one Asante Hene. And so be movie. Said ye Professor Ahwoi Kaino. Wahab to mention. Interestingly, or science so kasa to the Kumerica trend that by a brief, you know, which him say no dear. Was he a Yama boys in your moye? Uchema Kumerica had a threat because of where it is coming from, as in boys and a show trend. So Kumerica necessarily isn't a security threat. But then when a baby issue a serious, a when Asante Hinibi or no pay any what the potential so bet me rise up. Opinion forces are more following indeed as an forbidding any independence easily.
Voter area, not German for, but the English, French, and the Americans ask them, say, Omu move. And to be English, call be a omni French for any tenancy, and no me agreement, Omu tea umwasi, and Omu chair London. So at that time, Ghana, there was no existence of any country called Ghana. Yeah. Do you understand? So Papa V didn't have any agreement with Ghana. At that time, there was even call it Gold Coast. Gold Coast was not call it a country to that extent, but it was a British overseas territory. Okay. Do you understand? Leading to that time, they do 1945. Leading from 45, you know, after the independent British for Beji Hano. Then the British didn't want to go Yabe Kone Yen Kochina. And UGCC ne Kominini and Kromamane, all the Ghanaian politicians at that time said no more idea or Honitin, almost 30 years, almost 50 years. And the stimulation of Ghana independence, you know, started around there 54 mobile no neck say almost heightened. Because 54 no, there was some quiescent elections be Ekosiisen. And no Ghana political science students, you know, then this 54 election no Chiro Madie. And you know my bono. Oh, and see, only bedroom in 1956, you know, when it was very clear, said now, no, Yabama, Abrafone de, Ebama, Yeno, which at that time, no, now elections, you know, I go through. It was states, Ghana, the regions, you know, ne be a state, state, Greater Accra, it was a state. Do you understand me? Okay. A Kwapim. The 17 times making the Kwaku nation, it was a state. And then the Ashanti nation, or the Ashanti kingdom. And the man be a republic, you know, all these groupings, and then you have say, Swedro, what as Agranya Kum, the consultative assembly, say one moment sandboard, welcome to Agranya Kum, they know so to join. To join the Republic of Ghana. One, what went into the thinking of the Ghanaian politicians at that time, the political class? Decided say, person be anything with Gold Coast, so they wanted to phase out the name Gold Coast. Okay. Normal for Ghana, and the name Ghana.
I do that time not in Chichemu about.
But suddenly, no, yes, sir, Senka British were known for her Gold Coast. In Jalenian to Asanyo Gold Coast, okay, which the capital was the Cape Coast, more or less. Alenian to Asu Gold Coast. Now you change, you know, and call Mauritania, Ekokofa, the region Ghana, as a name historically, whichever way what induced their mind, you know, not the Songa Empire per se, but then Kofa Ghana, no, and the Ghana as a region like Ashanti region is still existing in Mauritania today as we speak. The capital Dombisara.
Oh, Ghana,
Mauritania, and so Ghana create no many diplomatic relations, Papa Biao, and Kofa Dean number 3. Now, Papa V and the group are talking and speaking about the history of 1956. 1956, you know, when they were joining Ghana, a republic, you know, leading to 60 republic, you know, there were elections, referendum that was made. And that elections, you know, the whole Volta region, all the Jasekai, Ahwoi, Amejope, Ho, Bando, all the region, Adaklumone, Kwafla, they all voted to be part of Ghana, except 2 towns, Ho and Bando.
Okay.
They were the 2 that abstained. But at the end of the day, no, not majority. So all of them decided to join and form the Republic of Ghana. Ashanti region, which is a kingdom till today, because a certain Otumfor, a certain Ashanti nation, no, to say the Swaziland, any Lesotho mu yebi no, any Botswana mu yebi no. Botswana, it was created, it was part of South Africa. But the kingdom, and your friend is saying, Queen, the then Queen was said, no, we don't want to be part of any, we want our country. And even say, we will speak our Chwana language, we will not speak your English. If we speak English, we make it a subject, and English will be this, and Chwana will be our official language till today. Do you understand me? Now, that time, no, the Western Togoland is just not different from Western region. It is not different from Eastern region. It is not different from Northern region. It is not different from Upper East. It is not different from Upper West. It was a name of a region. But then the people claim, or they believe, say, Germans had lived there. And then there was an agreement, say, there would be a Western Togoland. It was just like an agreement, Yas and Tuamo, they were fighting. No, they were not fighting for the entire, they were fighting for Ashanti nation. And in Gomu, and say, Ashanti phone can say, young joining
Ghana.
The Ghana now.
Okay.
So be it. Now, Kabe Swaziland inbuilt in South Africa, or Lesotho inside the South Africa. Okay. But when you now agree, say, yeah, one people,
to say South Africa, Swaziland still remaining.
Swaziland remaining. What you say?
Okay.
And the Dutch and the British for no, try so mu colonize no. Oman can Botswana so anka ho. Okay. Anything now share that region now, you being a landlocked. Okay. A kronkitin no sea. Zambia mu nyina no, so me landlocked.
Okay.
Namibia half desert, half binya sea ni kakra. What does it? Okay. It's because na no believe in the kinship. And any year na kombedi kai ayoma country. To say the Papa Vimi, the Ashantis could have done that. Ga state could have done that. Ekwapim state could have done that. But they didn't. Oman, Omina joining the Benya United Ghana. Now, Omo Yusu, BBC friends secessionists. Yeah. I'm here to say, sir, you need anything called secessionist or West Africa and or Ghana. Because historically, 1844, no, Nigeria, which was so huge, it has always been huge. The Biafra people, the Yoruba, and the Hausas and the Igbos were 3.
Thomas Kwaku say, Aguna Kwanyaku. I'm going to request for signboard, not Aguna Nyaku.
Thanks for that. But at least when in history.
Oh, no, much on signboard.
Welcome to Aguna Kwanyaku.
Okay. Omunya signboard na no.
I'm a part of the consultative. I'm request from the choir. I listening. And you know, Ombakam Hubom no, and a benya one united republic. At that time, no, the secessionist group, the Western Togoland, no, mean whom any agreement to that extent, na a say. During that time, and I say at a certain point in time, no, they have to also declare as a country. Let it even be that if there is their thinking, you've been part of a block of a new nation called Ghana that took their right, the sovereignty right, sovereign nation from the British colonial rule out of the British territorial overseas territories. And you be a country, Yabetuaba, a first president, republic. Yemusa se Western Togolanders. First Ghana election.
Western
Togolanders. Omu election ni biana. Yes. From the time of His Excellency, the late President Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana benya almost about 14 presidents. And Nkrumah, I get me, any head of states and presidents. And Nkrumah, and Kotoka, FIFA. I get me, and Nana Addo papa ebae. I get it mean. After Nana Addo papa bae no, ena ayibetu no. Your friend is saying, Buzia ebae, a champion betu no. Akuffo Addo. What I say? A champion ne counterpart na no in 2 eyes in or no betu no. Jerry Rollins ebetu no part 1. I get it me. And Jerry Rollins edimali man. And Osabe 2 no part 2. Rollins in by 2 times. I get me. Rollins by no. Dr. Hilary man ebae. And Jeriba Koi. That longer rule of over 19 years. You are the ma President Akuffo. President Akuffo the ma President Mills. President Mills the ma Mills 1. President Mama in between. Nana Addo Danko Akuffo Addo. And you share all this chain. But interestingly, no, we've had a president who ruled Ghana the longest more than any other Ghanaian president in the name of His Excellency President John J. Rawlings. 19 years. But you're him for no free.
Voter.
No free infant.
Voter ready.
But you're the Togoland mama woman. Obeka is a Safu Adu. There was a Ghanaian lawyer, Biano MPP, those the PFP, Popular Front Party. Or they, His Excellency John J. Rawlings called say when you're Ghanaian, we come to retrieve on the fast or fairly military form no, or you say Togo, Agbutu or whatever. The mother no, was a Togolese. And she was a Togoni. That was a funny. I remember the lawyer, Joe Randolph, at that time in the early 90s, 97, 92 also. The ruling was that the man wore Ghanaian military uniform. If he had died at that time, he would have been buried as a Ghanaian with a flag. So not at this time, no. And Abekas was Ghanaian. Do you understand me? Okay. So, His Excellency Rawlings did not give any land. Now, as a secessionist, let the public understand what is the meaning of secessionist. That this is a country, or this is a piece of land, Kofi's house. I'm succeeding, I'm taking part as mine. Now, how do you take the part? On what? Again, so now we take part. So betima take part to so called former country. First and foremost, you the nipa na take a former country and your land na bete diako. What I say? One, Papa V, our the leader. Oma nye in a form of movement. We are in a form of movement, and I in a political party. You force your way and go to the parliament to set their South Sudanese for you know. They fought to Omar Bashir and they had their members in the Sudanese parliament. Omar Chuomu Chucha Omasuno Buomo stayed they were in parliament pushing the agenda through. Me pacho from our infancy and TC Free BB say Western Togoland a member of parliament. What do I say? And you create a region for within the Volta region, a friend Western Togoland region. And think I will push it even for the agenda. This says you say about Western North and a brown North, no bring East, and those kind of things. You know, can be Sakwa na more fight to say for the balance of quote unquote development in you know, yepe Western part, no, yepe yanya hono, any regional, that could have been a very good deal. And you one, two. Ghana United Volta region, no, so what say yen succeed yen till land in be manufacture your country. We are asking you, say, what is the consultation, sir, when the Votarians, the greater voter aye? You can't just get up 200 men and women. Now must say Momo take greater part. Momo up to Damango. Because the Western Togoland is just like Western region. I get me. Okay. Now Magraheb region for so dry and Quanta, Koyam Pumam Krumbo, and also so a Cote d'Ivoire border. Enti Western forms so so ye in Zima area no so say ye Ivorian landers yes so beti upper Volta, what is your friend is saying upper east upper west no now come so say yes so no yes so ye tie ho but we tie papa vi mu de na so 4 million people that forms part of the Western Togoland. You are talking in terms of the region or how it was called then. But they've not forgotten, say, it is a Republic of Ghana, which they themselves have saluted Ghana flag, voted from that time till today. So if you want that region, any change in have you done consultations? Because the Volta region our classical ethnic backgrounds, Are you getting me? Keta ewo ho. So gakope dabala. Are you getting me? Any hohoi, the North Volta, Pando, any memeta and Fuega, those areas, you know. In Konya, omnina a part. Ala vanyone, sanya manyamano. In the ethnic background, you know, almost our minority tribes may be womb. And me who the tribe na, any the people, the community, are omsu omdigi nation, no. And no pahwa. Papa V himself is living in Jasikai. Have you asked the people of Jasikai, say woji Western Togoland na? A hobe your capital, and na mepe, and na so gakope na omokoye, you know. A hona be your capital. One, to apply for independence and as secession, you know, you must have a certain big community, a certain background that all the people know a support to. And me back to explain, say, the 4 ways to apply, say, o person what you from country bino, now we ni pano. Your friend bibi say prime mission. Prime mission is say, empire ho. Na nipa na e vote no kra no, e we trim say nyina pese ete ho. Enti that consultations na take place, ama the whole voter region nyina ate ase. Enti prime mission is there. Secondly, there was a certain economic mission. The economic mission consideration, no, economic consideration is a Ghana sika, gold, diamonds, timber ni nyama kese nyina no, e bia Western Togoland ho na nkewo. So we are talking about say enyama we there but ya disenfranchised omu maibi. And for that reason, no, ye beti matia ho. There was third spillover effect. The spillover effect in say and can say papa you must start here and read ye. Now the whole voter region no be sorry. Say yasuso no empire in Western yeah. That is a spillover effect anyhow. Me patriotic say. Okay. The last one
but spillover effect no and obi actual ede aba was it because because of government's intimidation. Okay. Most people can't come out. Let's notice this very well. Okay, Nana. And there be intimidation in Tina. There be spillover effect. No,
the spillover effect should have coincided with the prime mission now. Okay. And we've not heard say Alavanyo. Nana Bunzu. Let's educate ourselves here. We've not heard before say Alavanyo ni mkonya kuro omuko sa bush cross war na omniti abofre no. Kra ka say omoti omhu. Ye hu spillover effect say akwamu fie no omde abeka ho say yomu dia no. Akwamfo nka say ompese omko Western Togoland. Ye hu spill over effect say hofo banko eze adaklo efo ehu bi hwe omumu ese ompese omtimo na government ma omti omhu. Na bonso it is not like that. The whole thing is a Kofi. Now what you ho no we di nipa na ekọ. The population yes was say 4 million. 4 million ekọ up to northern region. Ya na say mo decide ne ba ha Bedi. Because if even you looking at the historical background now, the Dagbon, you should have been part of the Ashanti nation. What I say? Okay. Yeah, Dagomba Santi Kotoko. You should have been part of the Ashanti nation. No more that kind of relations, you know. And we have another history to deal with. Do you get it? Okay. And Gonja land, a part of the Western Togoland, didn't be Damango. Yes, some didn't send the 4 million no any catchment area and sadly a belt no. I want you na home. Nampacho Gonja land. Yabenya president from Gonja land. His Excellency former President Mahama. Or Gonja land. And this Gonja land now can there Gonja man be Ghana president. Western Togoland the president of Ghana. John J. Rollins, a Votarian. I want you na mo kan ka ho. Also a president. Now let's come back to the traditional settings. The traditional settings, you know, I want Mafia, Keta, Asogli state. Omnyina say, we don't know you. Akwam say, we don't know you. Now, Nipa 200 scattered in different towns, and you're one grouping. So the UN would take cognizance look at Nipano, tradi settings, geographical settings, and he no mote, map. Geography in terms of Ghana no say bibi to say western region. I've said it and I'm maintaining. I will say it again say and I will say the country Ghana no mo joining here no at the same franchise with the country's resources Kofi, that is a big deal. Why? Because about 60% of the Ghana national income comes from the western region. But I'm sorry to say, the Ghana deprived foolish schools in western Nomdima. They don't take care of them. People walk 15 kilometers to school in the western region. Meanwhile, a honor oil no, a honor timber no, bauxite no, gold no, diamond, everything that Ghana has in western region is kind of greater part in here. Yet you can say the highest economic pool of the country or western region. Yet western front as well. Say Ashanti nation, our more certain kingdom, our tomb for till today. Uko kumasi mune Ashanti ahimfufo ni bia omudio mo so no. Ontim ka se yentim ni Kofi Adom antena krom ha. What they say? Ye pamo. No mo ye. Way back in the 60s, 70s in no yentim no nanaso ontim no ne mpanyimfo antena krom atu. Wo mo they expel and then sack people from their community. That would have been a big deal because also so economic power in terms of Ghana national income. Bro have region enka kwadwo I started saying Kabrokum Kofi Kabrokum eko jine fetenta any mukro no mukro mebrebe doma hinkro nyina Kofi san kam so to because mosomo border up to Abengru aden na muka se mosomo Yavorian because so share the French and the English and French for agreement and arrangement take that side no enka that side so Cote d'Ivoire for land but they agreed and gave it to them. So people from Domahinkro cannot get up and say we are Ivorians into Yenti and Tiasu friend inner Ivorians in Tiasu per country. Now, Papa V is gone underground. Why a collection of boys?
Yes, okay. My mom go fire no horse. Obi mo kra ko boda da nyina say bia won say ho ben ho.
Dabi obi. Omunye o madwin so mbehwehwe no.
Okay.
O dabi omunye o madwin so mbehwehwe no. Omo hwehwe na they can look for him. Oh, Togo Krana, Ghana pretty much. Come bien so Togo, Ghana for watching by. But the point is, as I said, and I was one among the lot, the first, if not anything, to mention, anything that you call it negotiations, in terms of somebody who would declare, or a secessionist, it will backfire and it will backfire on the face of the government and the country, republic at large. And the entirety and the whole Ghana. You don't do that. Because or say man land in Ibi. Yenim baby a yedi land in man or then a capital ko. Oni assembly house, oni police station, oni post office, oni water, oni electricity. Papa Vijina Ghana light say, any aso light season would declare independence. But what I say? We declare independence, you at the time we declare independence, na Ghana currency shen bottom. Voters are the daso bare. But what I say? Papa V, esa she womom jina wonyina no, esa wa Ghana insure a health card, NHIS, esa shen bottom. Okwa dem ma ne certificate, esa da ho Ghana certificate, local authority primary school. At the time na no started Western Togoland region, ne badge na class 1 dem a friend is saying SHS, JSS. Ghana teacher na lecture na there.
Enjoy free SHS.
You enjoy free SHS. So, if you want to declare part of a country and farmer, the best thing that you do, you have to render yourself stateless. Drop your passport. Drop your citizenship. Na kope country bia ube yusu as a holding area. Ebi a Togo and a Benin. Na wa fa mon kofo no. Edo ma kotan that land. Modom kotan ho a mo ye stateless. Your voices could be heard. And on your friend the media attention of your mission. Omo dia no, oni prime mission. Oni spillover effect, oni economic no oni media attention. Existing today and the past.
Media attention no the omo ye kakra. Block
there be Kofi Meka Kofi any inland of today. There is no case that has been brought to the world media platform like it happened in South Sudan, like it happened in Namibia, like it happened in Mozambique. When Mozambique wanted to have independence, this one independent, the people who were fighting for the independent, led by Julius Inyusu, Samora Machel, I getting me, and then Eduardo Mondlane, Eduardo Monlin, Samora Machel, Julius Inyusu, they have to leave Mozambique and stateless, render themselves stateless. And a yima baby tinaye, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, and no mom Tanzanian passport, and no more created the movement of what? Frelimo, okay? Frente Libertación Mozambique, okay? The movement of liberation. The same thing, no, Ayifo Angola for also pay independence in 1975. The same thing, no. At the same time, so you form a movement outside the country. Into Omudiano, Omiye NLRA, Omiye UNITA, and then Julius Jonas Savimbi. What I say? And Dos Santos Munino. Omunina be movement, no tra bontin, fighting independence. Now, what the idea? You know, Nadaketa. You know, Nada Jasikai. What da Oyerechi? What da? Oh, Ghana electricity ball for. We are no my certain need. Ghana ID card, voters ID card. And you must say, "I say, no, no, dear Mama Royal chocolate." Oh, poor Mama, Papa. Oh, poor Mama, Chabeko, my bonny, my family. Don't worry. Trade for Oma Bubuda. Do you get a point?
But so chocolate, nice.
Chocolate. I can't talk for 2 hours without chocolate, Mama chocolate. What are you talking about? You know my addiction. I'm sorry. What about saying young crowd and Sans? Oh, Mama, what else is crowd? So,
yeah, the Papa V never.
Papa V. Now, Papa V, no. We need state, we need district. Now, make sure the process which I advised on air, and I advise again, say, Papa V, all what he needed to do, he said, on your application for secession.
Also, much letter call you
and you no credit. Let me show you how it goes. We get there. Kofi an interview him here. Because Johnson coming here. Ben confirm messages almost sending a Kofi Adoma again. And I'm saying, Basho, a dear for Kofi Adoma, Kofi TV. And the Munyana has a more interview. I am Uncle Bisano. They send me messages. Say, come and speak on it.
Yeah.
What you say?
No, a very dicey topic, and
people don't understand it. Until I understand, say, I have to share. That is why I say, okay, let us all deliberate. Yeah. Papa V should write to the Metropolitan Chief Executive of the region or MCE. MCE Nhyira, not the common regional minister of the Volta region. Say a group of SY people, if you crow we say so. You per se a tea and free Ghana, your free Western Togolanders, your border, your demarcation, your frontier and barrier, any Montemayeng. Now, regional minister Nhyira, not the bread minister of Interior, because interior issue. Minister of Interior, Gia. Not their common National Security Coordinating Council. Say way a security issue. No matter just omji wia na their akwa Parliamentary Committee on Interior. It goes to the parliament level. Now shall say you betima work a referendum. Now you must have voter region. Why person call Western Togo? Now does it even exist? Parliament for you who you may wia and Sunday their command His Excellency the President at the presidency. So the process of MCE for command one fan call. Now one fan command MCE, one fan my regional minister, and call interior minister ho. On fan command national security, on fan command your friends the parliamentary select committee on interior, on fan command presidency. Now presidency ageno. Ghana president is not on his own. What I say on the sub-region and in the sub-region where ECOWAS 17-member country no. Ghana a part or a founding member. So Nanado ensaka His Excellency or a president or Gia no a court table no Abuja, Nigeria, which is the host of the ECOWAS. Na Abuja for Ashishim. So Owade and Kofon ke be a womb, Nana Mensisi womb, young cancer no. When Abuja picks up, then Abuja takes it to where the bigger block on the continent is the African Union. Now Abuja so the African Union. Now listen to this. African Union GIA, there's another level which is the ACP, African Caribbean Pacific, which is 89 against the 54 now, 55 nations of African. And so you're upper. No mean GIA Tumse and Pasade, South Sudan, these are the process. Now we are, now you have to bring it to the UN representative or what the region. And Papa V, luckily enough for you, the United Nations representative for West Africa, we call the UNWAS. Nobody else than Ambassador Ibn Chambers. Or a Ghanaian. Yes, our UN representative for the whole of East Africa. Hannah Tete, doctor. Do you understand? And to quite and cow fine case. And you been chambers Gia and San Wakotebu before the United Nations General Assembly, UN Security Council. I want a case in Oko. Mene ometi omo AIB omo Gabi spokesperson. As we speak now, UN is discussing about Papa Mpacho Obra. It's not like that.
You so much letter come UN.
Never anybody.
President Yana Okano or say what letter come president. Say open a meeting. Say omampani emani hearing. Papa say opeso ne president.
Kofi
no mudi home come no chere area no ne ade.
Kofi. The Ghana population of 330 million sat down one day on 7 December as we are going to do now. And you vote to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. Leave his policies, leave his performance, leave everything aside. 30 million voted one president. 200 people cannot instruct, Bramia, one to almost speech, say, we've invited the president to come for us to sit down. Please, and please, for once again, I'll be emotional here. And yet Banana Republic, and yet Shekuvera government of Cuba. That's what I say. And yet Ghana, Banana Republic, and then yet Shekuvera government of Cuba. And what I say instructed a republic elected president. When His Excellency President Rawlings was there, did he ever through that challenge say, Rawlings mra ni entrance ni enka no? Now in any case, you know, Papa vi bedroom and I know inviting an Addo edinako. And I Jessica Assembly Hall. Say Jessica Assembly Hall near Ghana dia. Say Jessica Post Office, Ghana Post Office. And the Republic President can move for second of a meeting at a statutory state certified facility. But a facility, not a Ghana facility. And who is inviting who? Now invitation rather than Obra and also Bra.
Maybe I try.
What try? It is not the case. And your problem. Say Ghana market women crash ya nyabri ko omun share red. Ghana freedom and justice. Freedom need to be our justice in the nya better here for so.
Yeah, say
I don't do my country.
Freedom and justice.
Freedom need there. Yawa.
But jeje time no mo ya ka jeje dey ko be fire o.
Da be na make sure say Kofi who's who inviting Ghana president remind me and Kasayate. Edan bem. Papa view bedroom or Jessica. So what I'm saying is say
be a me pono so who say Jessica mountainous.
Kofi
Ohinto mountain ho na say.
And Kofi dem chance say it will be dangerous, very suicidal, inappropriate, undiplomatic, and very, very, very low belt for a Republic of Ghana. And when I say Republic of Ghana, including you and I, the president is just one person. To go and sit down with a group, so we are discussing about a territory. It's never done anywhere. The highest should have been the Minister of Interior. The highest should have been the regional minister.
Interior Minister Akuffo over Nansanya skirmishes kakra na see.
So Okoye with a delegation, military, police, and omnyina onko papa vi munyina ko underground. Ya baba security na ho no so. Kofi, in the first place, the world and Africa have seen a lot of militant groups that are all criminals. Militant groups. And I've said, and I'll say it once again, to the best of my knowledge and the knowledge of the world, Ghana is not short of diplomacy. Ghana had been an instrumental country that has fought for independence for several countries on the continent of Africa, out of which, and Abrofone sabotage the economy, because we were pushing too much when we were given the independence. Ghana pushed. The first French country in the sub-region to get independent was Guinea. When Ghana got the independence in 1957, 1958, Guinea Genidie, and a French for sideline woman. And a Senegal, Mali. Mali was part, and Mali was Republic of Sudan. Only Senegal, there one country called Republic of Sudan. It was Ghana Kwame Nkrumah who forced Modibo Keita because Senegal was Adom and no one person be joining. And now why they or push it in around 58 there 59 say there be on joining alliance of this Republic of Sudan Ibium or 10 hono and Senegal for independence in 1960 no or independence in April and Mali so far independent. It is all these two countries Ghana, Guinea, Mali.
Yeah.
The only thing that was the difference was the language, but we had them so close to us. Ghana independent, we pushed a whole almighty Nigeria to get independence 3 years after we gained independence. And Ghana went all the way down to Tanzania. Ghana went all the way down to Kenya and other countries to fight for their independence. And when you are talking about diplomacy on the continent of Africa, Kofi a country where daho basasana omunye rules no. It is one of the most respected countries. And me can't Papa and I've said it say, not even the president of Ghana, the leaders and the presidents are they ones in country they don't say it. So Ghana, the history in the interest of the international community we say is not easy. For Americans to bring say high command of West Africa is Ghana. Almost agreements with President Akuffo before so back and to Mensuo. We did grown basic form. You know why? Mali Kwan, all the Western countries embassies in relocate to Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire Kwadwo, Gambia Kwadwo, Senegal BBC any other place in the sub-region Ghana. Are you aware? Winning. And I'm saying it, and I'm telling the authority. Musa President Akuffo, Musa President Rollins, Musa Nanado. Now Musa His Excellency President Mama Omunyina say, edu Ghana elections are international community, secret service, any security the bahase no. Kofi, you don't have an idea. Tell them I told you. Now let's go to Nigeria. Boko Haram. Boko Haram formed in 2002 had never ever said say Omo pe a state. Share the might, the strength, and Boko Haram. A militant. Omi separatists. And yes, separatists in terms of or separated from a community. Because Omi established Boko Haram or Maduguri in 2002. No. Abu Bakr Muhammad Abu Shekau, who is today Boko Haram's leader. And you are not a former Boko Haram. The former Boko Haram near Muhammad Yusuf. Or T Boko Haram no. Or no militants because now Omu Mali. Ko joining Mali, Al Magraheb, Al Qaeda, and Sawad, and Sidin, Al Muhaj. Sa group ni nyina no mo operate of Mali land no. Ahono mko ye training. In Tomba Nigeria, they saw a way to make money and extort money from the government. And we started say, Omu yes no. 2002 was Obasanjo. I'm talking about the negotiations. Ghana for being tiase. Obasanjo fro woman no. Mema mo problem ni saying. Ya de omom fe go school papa ni ada. Oh no this start you. No ya Obasanjo ma omuska. Sa monje. Monko ye adwuma na mu free bush no omje. So they used that money and started to blackmail and extort them more. Until from Obasanjo time, Yaredua Otuae, Goodluck Otuae, Buhari ono no so on the ontua. Into Jessica, Africa no regroup ye into a militant criminal organization. Al Qaeda on council of a country be a criminal organization. Into time in Nigeria for under your friend is saying Papa no we Yaredua.
Yeah.
And I'm saying no. We are not negotiating my Jessica na mukose mukofi. We are not engaging Nigeria army. And Tom Titembo Muhammad Yusuf no omku Muhammad Yusuf 2009 and Abu Shakau the second command no ono fire ono kura fire no na Muhammad Yusuf na irem ya 3 air 4 widows no okoware ba ko na ire owa na ye widow do you understand me and owa no a militant owie no and on the Chad your friend the Lake States the Lake region northern east part of Nigeria Maduguri Borno State anyhow and they call Cameroon North and they call Chad that region hold what they say sa bush no and no mako hodom papa bi won ko she bush when me dey omo ti bush dense populated dense bush and no mchim with a terrible topography of the geographical settings no mo land in Ukraine on say mountainous and no mugum. Master Kofi, what I say. Now, Shamali or a lot of this group were ye nyina declared wanted. Yemra Burkina Faso ewo Blaise Compaoré, former president, were ye fugitive as we speak, were exile leader. And the supporters beat my raise arms. Idris Deby, Chad, share a Niger, former presidents, a lot of former presidents now, omu raise arms near the adeno, omu nyina wo nyurem. And to omu to me, den. She Côte d'Ivoire, or exile leader or jail, Laurent Gbagbo, or youth leader or jail, Blé Goudé. Soron Guillaume now or two, your friend is saying, or two Laurent Gbagbo, Emma, say Soron Guillaume, or exile. Because last time Watara, na just for form party, no, and was said, or exile in Belgium as we speak. Now, Watao, who would have been, Alasa Watara suspect say, Obetima be stage another uprising. When you Soron Guillaume out, Watao, Omuko poison America Kuno. What do I say? Omu Bayeno, power struggle, Omu tu Babono, Ibe, Ibrahim, Ombe Kuno Yapugon. And a Hippolyte, Accra, Tassano, Ombekuno Hasi, Cote d'Ivoire Secret Service, Ebekuna. Ghana hasn't got any form of those things. Our Secret Service crown, Omono, or Bakran and EU class, Charlie, you understand what I mean? It's a peaceful country. We are united. We need religious issues, Muslim and Christian, our problem. You need Hindu and Buddhism, our problem. I say, I conform a domope, I suffer for your politicians, a woman, your Juma. Oma nya adwuma wi ana omo de faith no ene hope ni na de akoma asofo for say monyina mo show mo so. It has never been a problem for a Ghanaian. It is a wa o papa vi ni group wa ko school wa ha wo da kura voters ID na no e bi na papa bi odi line ni mu. Boys o mchi o mu nyina no, can we see your identity card? O mu nyina yi Ghana ID card. Enti identity na wo kura country bi the ID card. Now say we yan fan twa country bi ni mfama. Eni Kofi people have been speaking about the security lapses leading to this.
Say, yetimi atena se ama ya block ya kwan. Cars ma and yenhu because omedi kan your first one cry pay.
Asa Kofi.
Yetimi ye jam mo block and omo block che yo.
Kofi Adom wani.
Till say police ni soldiers call her. Two call from omo to call wiem class still na omo so mo di two edro. To so omo be call from answer no mo twa.
Kofi Adom. Ghana. UN missions. Listen to me carefully. UN missions, combat missions. Ghana police sergeant were stronger and faster than Indian general. Oko South Sudan UN mission. Ghana police sergeants, inspectors, only lead the troops. A Malumpo, commanding in a unit in Ghana for. We have strong police. We have strong police. But let me just say, and quick to mention, say, you need 100% security coverage in any part of the world. Not even Israel, because I have one team slip through Kodin Samani. The most sophisticated security setup would have been the intelligence setup is the Israeli, because of where they find themselves within the Arabs. And Romans Arab from the hostile, no Palestinian, they are very fast. The K9 and the criminal police system of the Germans, the Dutch efficient police, the Scotland Yard of the UK, and yet United Kingdom Abontinzi, they had a rebel. Sinn Féin, Jerry Adams. It was a terrorist group. It was a movement on the soil of Queen Elizabeth. But what I say, Russia, they have Chechen rebels. Today, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Ukraine, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Nhyira, Afghanistan, time and no Omo independence, they all created rebellion. A whole KGB, anti-man stop Omo, Afghanistan no Omo Koye. Mujahideen rebels, Omo fighting Russia, rebel group, fighting Russia, and Omkofo Osama Behapu, Mdomkatabura Haisa, Utimi ya Oyede. And he find the Kokumu Osama bin Laden, Abitabat. Now in between, in the legs, in the nose of Pakistani military high command. Security is there, but over complacency and talking about your security awareness. Kofi, let's be very frank. Ghana population of 30 million. Your security, the police, they are not more than 15,000. I stand to be corrected, but I think that is the number. Divide 15,000 by 30 million. Never one police, the coverage. Na sa one police, you know, your politicians, ya sa Fabia Kotinefi, be used to, but I could then record market. Now, I could so. A big bank guide. And the business to Ghana as Gavofi. We use our numbers in the free man. Ghana police are here, you only 70,000, the whole country. Now, Yawa intelligence on the ground, which is the Bureau of National Intelligence, BNI, Omajuma, coordinated by National Security, Omajuma, Regional Security, RegSec, our voter, Ebioho, a border town to your effective BNI, our border town into your effective national security, supported. Nanka national security for you, Omajuma, your defense intelligence, and your military intelligence, the MIs, your Ghana migration, your Ghana customs, and your Ghana prison service, and your Ghana customs, and your the presidential protection for sending different, and the interior for Nankasa Suomo intelligence unit. And we are not short of intelligence. Yeah. And what it is on the ground, you know, that is where Sasauchi nipa 200, Papa Vini nipa 200. In security, you do a multiplying factor. Multiplying factor and say Papa V Obiante kwa Nhyira Nhyira 1. Nhyira bakacha ne bra panyin. Menka nchiro obiao aye 2. Ne bra bakacha na bansi na damfo ne wi apetition aye 3. And this how multiply in that way now. From Papa V ni nipa 200 multiply by 3 no. You are running into 1 million. And this is a 1 million people and ati asem and ati movement. No more nyaho hinter. That is where I have my beef. But the reality is also that Kofi, when in Carnation Market here, the boys nam to phones no.
Yeah. Imagine my phone pay.
Thank you. In the man for say well coordinated attack and pacho funny because say wo kasa phone so won fa bi nhemu we are comfortable we are car ubo wanso obi agi for doc for the Carnation on do boasum wo de on boasum
Schwar yes sir and yeah just to disorganize you into trans no won say onwin phone ho na pain no
Kofi Frawati
nti wani baba ho so ba me de no me gina ye chesi no speed of adan bi ho 1 2
Kofi akwa police station do boys in besia bone police for Zomba. Listen to me. Can you call? Can't you call? It's a well coordinated because on what time so be real on your blind side, so it's coordinated, on what coordinating. It is not different from armed robbers who make home boom and a joke. No more planning say a kofu fiwi. What be in surveillance we are? No more be wall, no be bull gate. Now I had the wada ushan kromo. Now I had the what be real, a coordinated. And security cannot be everywhere, but security should be everywhere. Listen to me. Security cannot be everywhere at any given time, but security should be everywhere. Meaning, said the intelligence report or the intelligence picking no, was weak, but not notwithstanding. No, I'm on for an argument, which I'll come and descend heavily on politicians now or mokasa ignorantly. No, and he said, "Say police station mepe night, police for me and son, and oho, na nipa 50." And Ghana police are trained, say, unlike French, say French police and a different story. And you would have shot them down. Kobekum more. And call my machine hostage. But Ghana police, so Kumomwa and Kaminoka saying, and ka rule of law, and police in and Janko for what I say. And he almost surrender. And there's the intelligent and the clever thing to do, and he say, oh my yemekuno. Looking at that, national numbers never. In this Oko police station, na nipa 3 no ho. Na mo 280 people. Na mo kokko kidnap ma. Can somebody sit down and say the police was weak? They were weak in say the gadgets that should be used. Ebianko bia bibi ultimate trigger to call for reinforcement. And I'm sure the time in reinforcement in the buyer, that one you can talk about weaknesses. But Susuan pass say Oma plan Oma dear night. Now they moved under the darkness. I will not hold brief for the police. But the police at that time, no, because of the country security profile, woman need area hono as what hotspots and now flashpoints. Yeah. It's a new Ghana police security profile flashpoint is what. Pay much attention. Attention your beat 9. Attention your flower. Attention your keta. And it's belts no. And be attention war. International security ni be na for do say. No so. And it's a multimiko echo invade any bibia. Me my problem is the time now. Timidi anyaka. Edi be gu kwanso. Ejo hold you up. Etimitra police car. Eye omubo soroku. Omushijama. Eshi soroku. But the whole genesis from the time Obi Aswa country ni flag, Republic of Ghana. It's only the military installations where in the evening they are closing. Say ya Obi mete flag no kwan fanko ye they lower the flag. Omba no pa ya rise it. That is a routine. Now what me jina country? Now we raise a flag. Abra flag in Queen needing. Now we lower
Western Togoland flag.
Western Togoland flag, the flag in this world goes with colors. The colors have names. The meaning of every color. Papa Vintimin found the color meaning my then green here, green vegetation and the good nature and the forest. Red in the blood of our forefathers. And at the yellow the sunshine. Black and the Oman ye.
Yellow minerals, gold.
Yeah, minerals, gold, and then the sunshine.
Okay.
What do you say?
Okay.
But black star, na one idea a problem, Nika Kraba. What do you say? Next time come here, star, no, Yemani shining. Black, no one a problem, Eka Krawa. What do you say? Now, every country in this world, our flag be our meaning. Papa vim flag, no. I'm so Papa Nani designing idea. You know who meaning, no. And it's a lower country in the flag, it raises wood, nano. That makes it a treasonable offense. Yeah. Related to subvention, related to more or less like an attempted coup d'etat, and to the loss of the land, that time, no, that was when the country should have taken action that it deserves. Because at that time, no,
no, but taking action, treasonable offense, and a serious.
Ghana treasonable offense, by firing squad, began and firing squad, and to call life imprisonment. Yeah. At that time, no, intelligence lapses say, Nipa be 80, Papa Via declared no president, no I share the political, there you suit. Namunina Nipa te, Omatimesi canopy, intelligence and Timan Peke, what declare a ye, Umune marching, Oma marching, as a Saw Munia Mako. As a police, you go to a friend is a canopy. No. That one was a beef. And Timubenya Nipa 26, ewo nyura bima, mochi womono. Mochi woma, Ghana police normal, charge and bail. Omo ya dania, ya do omo ko, no omo say, angwavan say no omo ko, a fum, omo ko ye ayi, omo ko bo ahum, omo do no mabre no majo mahum. You charge them and bail them. And in say intelligence reporting Timen Peke, boys na yes adiano, and no ma regroup om yes adiano. Now, back to the negotiations. If you sit down, say you know negotiating, Ghana president no negotiating, Kofi, what is the terms of reference? Negotiating on what? Negotiating on the River Volta, negotiating on the Ghana, the highway, Adom Bridge, and I said, almost say a vacuum akosumbu, young farmer woman. So how do you say?
Almost share maybe on who terms, on who.
Because
right now, as to area on Beji Crown, or Mambo, but why him for an answer by say.
That is what I'm saying, sir. Nana, emusa womu say. So per se, upse nipa 4 million. That stretch na. Fasikabra Ghana government. Sa na say oye no. Na mon fa mayor referendum. Ne Ghana government na bebo kamo referendum. Ne referendum by elections, by voting. Ni amfanko voter region. Wa opese oko Western Togoland mansa so. Canada yebi in the mid-90s. At that time no. Jean Chrétien was a French president, a prime minister, or a French, a prime minister of Canada from Quebec. What happened? And look right there, the superpowers were behind. Whilst the UK was fighting for Canada, as in Ontario or Canada, Ottawa government, the France was strongly backing their Quebec. And you can talk about all the 4 forms. The spillover effect could be there. The prime mission said, Quebec, it was the economic interest was there. What did they mention? And the media attention had always been there over the Quebec. Until they qualify for any of the 4. Until they call for a referendum. If you're interested in the referendum, no, one human soul, 3 bakupe, nipa, bakupe, and they separated the 2. So it even tells you the world say, Canada, there was even a divide. But they didn't want to separate the country. And to me, as a referendum, it is not coming again. At that time, no, the prime minister was a French, Jean Chrétien. And if you look at this, and you have but yeah, the end there, there's nothing called so with the regional demarcation in terms of the name. You did that time there. Any agreements be assigned there. Papa the agreement, or Queen Elizabeth to uncle. Papa the agreement because German phone couldn't have given you agreement because they themselves were forced to go out. Cameroon, Namibia. The English and the superpowers did not allow them to colonize Cameroon. The same way in English, the French phone call and Germans free Cameroon and chair fire south and then the west, southwest, northwest, and the eastern part and French. Germans moved again to Namibia. At now for several years, they couldn't colonize Namibia because the overseas territory and the German occupier, the whole world, Germany equals to Germany. Islands now called Caribbean come town. Some your friends Argentina. They couldn't colonize Argentina. They didn't allow them to have a colony. Plus, Italy. Italians and country beyond colonized Africa. Because they were part of the Axis power of the Second World War to support Germany. And if I occupy Ethiopia. So Kwaku Ethiopia because this is the Ethiopia for only telling me no Germany Japan for me na e kon bi ma German for Ethiopia omu baaye no na Italy for share the way Ethiopia for si kon ye no no person omu cover territory no and that is what we call the Battle of Addo. Omu no omu kon ya until say Italy for enti no omu call Libya they couldn't. So 2 countries omu compare Africa ko omu sanka. And tell me where Japan at that time, strong nation Japan, China or China basa. Japan went to anywhere in Africa because the Western allies did not allow Axis power nation, including Germany, to have a colony. So it is how the German history and they be related today. Say Germans better on near Western Togoland. Yeah, I'm telling Papawi and historically say you need. German only territory bia onyan any part of the world our colonizer ka German home. The greater Voltarian areas they don't recognize that Western Togoland. And I'm saying say historically only Ho and Pandu voted referendum omanto omatini se omdo omunye omompe so ben omuna na ka Western Togoland ho asem. But when the majority what to abalam che papa vi 89 years aka 1 year na bia nyame atonsa afro na say obenya kakra o say 10 years obeko mfan say nyame mani hu ni independence no ento onya 100 na say ubenya 100 kwa na papa vi aye elections are from Kwame Nkrumah. You never voted for Western Togoland. And I'm saying that people that have succeeded in getting independence for their countries they form a political movement. Not you don't take arms. Look at South Sudan story. John Garang was branded rebel leader by Omar Bashir government of Sudan, Khartoum. Time now was stimulating the world attention and also forceful ebenya international recognition, obenya missions, obenya nyama. What took place was that. What sounded like Papa Vinti Media production. That would be very great. What took place was that. I get to me. What took place was that. John Garang Omar Bashir who so very popular in the world, they no inviting so many or non-vice president. South Sudan, they won't be independence. Or could joining the government of Omar Bashir, no, wabe vice president of Sudan. And was shared that man say, Uncle Eastern African Summit, Kenya, no call represented as a vice president. O free Chrome Koyen, no attend Bush for so many years wabe vice president as a rebel leader. Oba back no, and Omar Bashir Kuno. To bring the country back to their knees. And the South Sudanese people, a honor and a omu political leaders, started to cry aloud to the African Union. And when the voice became very electrifying, the Omar Bashir government has no right. And the international community, United Nations, and Mumpo, Yebedi market because they have the numbers to form a nation. Now, how can you take 200 people? 80 people are more declare independent. Nipa 80. And cry woman be 47. And I declare independent.
Which check your mokra, age, but are very young cockra. Papa Vim Kwana Ayisha.
And I'm just not no. I don't declare independence. Let's say who government house. Let's see who presidency. Let's see who assembly hall. Let's see who Independence Square.
Yeah.
No one could the soil and the land and the property of Ghana. No declare independence. We are was Akuffo film. As I could that Ghana light him. So Papa we are saw one you. Kofi didn't try. And the history beckons Ghana to the extent say countries have rather relied on Ghana, including almighty Nigeria. Ghana has not severed her citizenship, but admittedly, no. Ghana economically need there any politicians alabraka oma punish Ghanaians but ni nyina echi no ye wom like I said your freedom no ye nyanya justice no but that does not mean say government of Ghana nay any group of persons individuals be and negotiate over a particular land. Ghana land is non-negotiable.
Okay.
The four corners of Ghana, it is not negotiable. Because the last territory Ghana crown adjusted in Hokakran was the Boko side, the upper Volta. Yama Burkina for ebe fire. And cleverly enough, no, and then Nama Burkina for changing Omdino, and Burkina Beno in the 80s. Because the name Upper Volta, and they didn't want, because Upper Volta was still a resonate our Ghana. Because Ghana had the voter. And they didn't want that voter, Upper Volta. So one day, Ghana Babaka said, "Hoy Omudia," and quickly, no, and Sankara, no, Omchenji Ibeano, Burkina Faso, just only to move out of the anything that relates to Ghana. And Papa V, Western Togoland, no, oh, they went back, Kofi. If he say it's not been fine, and now main council say, you're a politician from the region. At this time today, I'll be very liberal. I won't mention names. Politician Abia say this is the well-coordinated attack in the whole of sub-region, the whole West Africa. This is the first coordinated attack. Your university professors, so security endowed, highly brainy in security. You need secessionist group in anywhere. Because Ogoni, the Ogoni people, what they say, of the Delta and South of Nigeria, they were not secessionists. Obi mistakenly will Professor Biwabong or say Ogoni secession. Woman yes secessionist. Ogoni was a vigilante group and former. And that one happened during the time 1992 or 1994 elections in Nigeria between Tofa and then Mashoud Abiola. Time Nana Babangida transfer power into civilian. No? What do you say? Babangida knows say only Absani Abacha fixes Stellano on power Emma Abiola. That election Abiola won landslide, who is from a Yoruba land. So Abiola won the election, and then in no time, no, about 3 months, no, the election results was not declared. The electoral commissioner was hanging on. There was a political situation. There was a political gap, and no space. There was a space. No president. And a year then, Abacha snatched power. So when Abacha snatched power, no, the people were in support of Abiola got angry, and then they said, no, the Hausa land cannot still be controlling the delta and the oil of Nigeria. and na south ni from Yoruba land awene wo ya wo man declare na man be president wo mama military as abe top no so they defected into the bush and wo started kidnappings and wo started extortion and wo started say ya den be hit central government and the installations of Delta na oil force na no my day until now no started say to the oil miners no expatriates no and the giska and with that ogoni leader up to now or life imprisonment you know a lot of them or river and so or on river kukum bebre ho enti say obi catch or say your secessionist group any country bia no West Africa
papa video no according to Agyapong my intelligence mo peke ya say na o ma target Adom bridge no say ombe blast Adom bridge ombe call Akosombo dam no the bomb no small one bia kwa ase na omo aye no
me pa cho say issue my address me say address ye nuano say political speech is very dangerous. It's free of charge. It's just like when you're dreaming, you don't pay for it, but the price of political speech is very expensive. One, Mr. Kojo can say they know the politicians and phobia shisha. We don't talk like that. You don't whip up the public sentiments in a negative way. Meaning, say whoa, a minister of information, and I say state Ghana, and you nim ya pick intelligence report, and you so Kofi Addo sponsor Papa V. No one to man ko Kofi Addo na ko Papa V is a waste. But what I say, say Muslim nim baby a omo sponsor woman. The whole Ghana wants to know, and we want to know the people sponsoring. We wouldn't spend much and then enough of money now. Ye here their resources, and their painting Kolebu, any other hospitals. What is the mission? We need money for those things. Mr. Adumana Meboa. Yeah, says can one fan ko SRD. Now you spend it. Yeah, the joint military operations at Duomakogo. We him abaya omo. We him police any military Duomakogo. Just something that I'll call it avoidable. It is an avoidable and needless exercise. Our country now overstretching the whole abedu say. Budget alcohol. Abaye ni fualo. Ombedi di kakra. Do you understand? But that should not be the case. It is okay say yenim kofobi Adom bridge Kofi ni nyina no we call it unjustified and I say report to be unconfirmed. But when issue comes like that, politicians should be or they would like to be on the microphone. They want to say something. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is say Ghana military, Ghana police, when they are aware of the mentality and then the ideological mentality of Papa V and the group, when their presence is at the place, Papa V and whoever says, they cannot move and they cannot act. Ghana military, this is not the contingent or group of people but Kofi so what that now betu enobia so kon. It does not mean say we weak. Do you understand? Okay. So decide this obero wata de akọ. Next one for so person obeham. So the police stations me no mkoye no. Yembusa say how many of them were there? And then plus obi a wani abre pass obejo mine. O per land. What imagitu as they say 35 omuko amri ekoyi prisoners. We a prisoners. Obi a we obi tomatoes. Tomatoes. Obi we tomatoes na mano. Yamane abaya de na shem ukoyi tomatoes obi a we tomatoes. We a prisoner we na politicians say they open and allow what them omo free omo
elimination by substitution. Omo the police for no go no mo yi omo no mo.
Yeah, because like I'm saying said they were outnumbered. The police were outnumbered.
Okay, quickly we know on this Kumerika yes Kumase boys and also come bomu ye Kumerika meaning your take on it. Some see it as you some also see it as oh boys need your money. Some meaning how you take it.
Kofi, that is not the time I terminology.
Okay.
Aba de bia what does it? Okay, say ebia originated through film actors, any film na sa many musicians. Okay, say you be bombs are puskele ke deben. What is them general? And la pass to you tamo. Say nya be term so loud. But Ghana de bibi ba allow them. Momonka omdi kakra bia obi abedum. For me, I don't really look at it say anything harmful. Okay. I don't see it as a plus. Kumasi and the Ashanti region no, a unique case. A unique case. If the overlord of the Ashanti nation is not moving now, the Ashanti particularly no, it is not possible. So obi betima sorry say America enjoy the omu unity omu no. You must first overthrow the Ashanti king, which they know is not possible. Because who fear in the crown in what you know won't call. So you'll be empty. Do you understand? Yeah. And to America, the young fans say modern day terms, and there have been several terms of them. No, it's nothing. Sometimes it's just irritating. So it is will be how they use it, and then in the context within which they use. It be for me such things. I mean, it's a young boys, young girls. It's their time, it's their generation. Bra, another thing will come. But let's take it as one of them. This is not a presence. Women fight for any territory. Women fight so much per country. And yes, secession. And then your activity. Women there no. Them can say in Kwasi from Tokwane say. Women can farmland. Kofi, who could you have bank in Benin? No, we have a attraction. We could shine board there, no attraction. Ghana police and military still see say, and yet anything beyond into Oma Den, Oma Jawomo. It is a kind of, but it doesn't pose any security threat. The security threat imposed is if you look at the regions of the north, our more minority tribes, Kofi Ghana is so unique, said Dagomba, any Gonja Kwa, Wala Onko, Fra, any a friend is saying, Dagati Kwa, Obianko. Kushasi Mamprusu Omukono, Obianko support from a Dabani Obianko, Greta Kraha. Are you getting me? Yeah. Ayikwenye, Nungwani Teshi, within Rollins era in the early 90s. Kofi Omukwenye, Osu Anko, Kokro Bita Anko, Medina Anko, Osu Wanko. And to Ghana there, escalation cannot be there, so we don't have spillover. And Papa, the Oyeno, who said the country is solidly united. And we voted and we all arranged and had a referendum to become part of the republic and a bloc, declared independent, have a Republic of Ghana. And they should also know, say, where people get confused, it is not People's Republic of Ghana. If it is People's Republic of Ghana, it could be a certain unit, a certain class, a certain region, very few people, like People's Republic of China, like Republic of Taiwan. China, so Muntiasiano. And yet people, yeah, they're a Republic of Ghana, not People's Republic of Ghana. So you cannot secede any part of Ghana land. Handful, Asasu Wekrano, they cannot get it. And Ghana should treat it as a criminal case, not anything as a political case. Ghana Nibia being fear.
Most of the arguments they say Ashanti region for say oh, you found resources near the developing other regions near the day and ye chomabo. Farouk Wahab Chima, or say Ghana ha, and Ukre women say the only region Ebeka say or mere marginalized, I say you boo omu faso, ye sisi omu, any Ashanti region mum, or more mumundi, but Ochema, Accra, and a western region. Now Farouk Wahab Cheche, and Yama, a Kosomu Philly say Accra, any western region, or one regions I say you forms, especially western region there. Also among the other only sisi omu pa, because almost draw most of the resources are a mere build the country. But also any you forget to. So aside these factors near the Western Togoland, any other groups here or peninsula better, they don't really qualify. But then the Ashantis, a few tribes Kakrebi, which includes the Dabon, the same way Professor Ahwoi Kaino. These are the tribes are more potential, they have the capacity, they have the requirements, they meet all the conditions are Ebema tribe it may decide and as a group it may decide they break here away. But they are not doing so because said the Prof Ahwoi Eka Kronano, the Ashanti kingdom, Omu leader, the head, the traditional leader, the head of it, decided it will be breaky. But Addo sorry no, definitely this and some can ebebem.
Ghana, if we are talking about marginalization, and America say even greater Accra. Hey, Obisusu, but yeah, of course. Apart from if you set aside say air capital, the people at Bukum, Jamestown, Oko was an air capital. The old Accra,
the Bukom, the Jamestowns,
Yes.
the Chocos.
And you have a certain castle, Nesi Osu. Have you not seen Osu area? Is that the country 57 years independence at that time? No, I want to see a few about Flagstaff House. Osu for can say. The highest economic pool of the country is not in the Volta region, a western region. Cocoa, greater western region. Oil, western region. Gold, western region. A lot of Ghanaian wealth, every western region. Oko western region in Krono. Are they speaking about ethnicity in terms of what? Ethnic marginalization. Volta region. Have they shared? Yawa cities and your region, part of country, our Ghana, Africa, Yade. Yes, development into ya create other regions. And I'm a Wadam Gumnia, nothing Yamom region. Bacho Obiama arms so Juana. Now the question is that we look at the involvement of the people in the community and the region in question. Say, are they in support or not? Here is the case. Engagement, yes. Oko from Betnas we are. They are going to give you what is called extremist lines. What do we want? Koko ye we, ye pe we, fa we mayen. And I'm saying, say, that is not the first time some of these things happen in a country. But Ghana, as one of the top diplomatic lords on the continent of Africa and the international community, we have until today the region ECOWAS West Africa and Crown, the United Nations representative Ghanaian, the East Africa, the United Nations representative Ghanaian. Even Champas and then Hanatete, respectively. And this is a country we've engaged in supporting and helping other countries even to gain independence. And we haven't, and we are not using brute force. This is a country, Obijina, at the flag, it declare. I think so my brother and all of us are aware, said, lower Ghana flag, and or hide the flag of
yes, we'll show that video very soon.
Now, so what lower flag there? What declare independence on the country now? Also a marginalized zone. Usiti, like I said, at the time now declare independence, you are state. The problem here is that, or say, HSG, home study, your friends saying what the group foundation. It's comic because say. If it is a foundation, meaning it has been established on the earth or on the soil of Ghana, me pa choma check Registrar General Department say omo that group no ho ana. Say Registrar General Department any even that group it is already an abandoned and also a banned group on arrival. These were the things that Ghana and take care because also a HSGF. Now you need Registrar General Department or recognizing the registration of a certain foundation. That one alone, it need effect. And to so we now see a HSGF. Yen year per session is one patch up, dialogue, transfer can. There will be another group from the West. See from a PSF group. Are we also to go and engage or to go and negotiate? In any case, some negotiations since they keep on talking about ethnic marginalization.
Okay, so Pacho, hold on, mommy. Video in our ocean time ana omu eloa.
Yes.
Ghana flag. Na omu de no akosoro. And I will share Facebook. So Ghana flag no eba form. And I so de no. One more train Ekosron kakra. Mpacho to aso.
Na say uye we are. Now we population at Chuhui. Now say Ghana president should come and sit down with them and negotiate. Yes, Ghana government will come. The president of the republic watu abano ebebano no aba negotiate. Onfa the negotiation lines and then the consensus no emayenhwe. But the point is that, and I will still insist, say, if the people in the Volta region are in support, then what some of us or some of our brothers are speaking can hold. If the entire Volta region are not, as I said, for the majority of the Volta, and as I say, yempe woman yenim woman. So we engage with that. We should see the group as criminal group rather than to see them as a movement. They haven't identified themselves as political movement. Neither have they identified themselves. Ombetimati a group. Obetima a political a group. Nanko they are contesting elections. Nanki a home of parliament. No ko pushing agenda of Ghana parliament. Yenti say Western Togoland for cry say ye wo mepe na ye ne wo so gakope ye constituency ye doso enti ye kra no ye the parliamentarian kraba no push the agenda. Some of the countries have also done that. Yenti bibiasa enti is a group here yen ye hwe any nipa kakra we say any papa ogina ho say also one na ye Western Togoland one na ye claimed so what swear in. And while lower Ghana flag up, there should have been a declared president. Pepacho omu declare presidency. Now when Timin declare and lower country any flag, na country any currency shobutum. Mr. Smart, majority as here. At the time now I said declaration, we are no kodi Ghanaska. Neutralize the wealth and the properties of the country. Give your identity cards down. Neutralize your identity. Ceases to be a citizen of Ghana, ceases to use the Ghana currency. Neja and Nema may be bad a Ghana. Then we are now talking about dialogue, we're talking about negotiations. Now we are talking about, your friend is saying, discussions. Now, lower country any flag, a broker country any currency. Sorry?
So we no kodi Ghana.
We are Sarkodie Ghana. And let us not, we should be very careful. Say our security. For me, what is happening? It is a breakdown of security. Your friend is saying network. The lapses, the security lapses, and now we are leading up to where we are now. Because Greater Ghana had never said, and none. So Okaso or Kogonja, no Gonja landa. You can only do that say, obey a rebellion or terrorism. Now obey a rebel or terrorist association there. Then you are going to force the people to come with you. Say, mumpo, we are Western Togolanders. And I don't think that is what the people in Bandai, the people in Raura, or the people in Krachi, or the people in Akosumbo, that is what they are telling these people. And so that's what we want. And in negotiating, discussions, dialogue, no, Ghana is not short of diplomacy.
Would you also agree to another school of thought, sir? Your security no affiliate, because this thing started 14 September 1992 in the Fourth Republic. That is when they started this whole thing up until Emre Abedro Mashe Bass Ajiji police photo any adi ye agro.
Yes, agreeably no. May say the security must hold the people before arrival, because anything that involves borders on security no. If you allow, say they were able to infiltrate and come into the city. Watima ba SCC yard. Watima group no. Watima ba beji high road. Well, let us look at it from at this point. Say, I don't want to use the word say a well-rehearsed, coordinated attack. That one I will not. In all fairness, because armed robbers who be fee, eko robu kobu dino. They are also well-rehearsed and coordinated.
So this is also well coordinated.
And I make sure say. So in terms of political, for them no, I'm rob onka so koji country. Onka si emfa land man.
Okay.
Tutubotom ni a otimi di do obi atwitwa ne bag yi na yi no. Also coordinating no. And say if politicians and then security men of state start talking, said this is it. Oma coordinating the most distant secessionists in the whole of West Africa. But your brother making mention of Ogoni. The Ogoni people and the Delta, Niger, for them there was a clear distinction and a clear distinction between Yenu and Mudian. Ogoni went underground after the 1993 elections between your friend is saying Tofa and Mashoud Abiola. And when the Babangida cleverly knew and said, knowing said, Abacha Baba man the power mano. When they did that and Ogoni for taking arms, because Ogoni they clearly no Nigeria land no oil no South Akwa Ibom state winning no about any delta, about 60%, 70% of the oil if you hope. And if you go to the Ogoni land, it's very bare. And it's in Womundiano, when even a Didi Maso no Mengejiano, sell up to now, Ogoni people, most of them, they are in jail in Nigeria. 7 jail sentence. Ogoni didn't say so up a country. Let us get the distinction right. Ogoni didn't talk say up a country. They raised arms. They created what is called Niger Delta militancy. And if it's a militancy, they are just all there out there to do banditry, obeying some money, terrorism, jihadism, whatever. That was a militance. There's a difference between militants and then say, or no, there, or you're militant, or ankasa or pikru.
But
when there,
I'm not cutting short. I did mention a lot of issue that has happened, not only Ogoni. I mentioned Biafra.
No. I'm just. But Biafra war. Also, you look at also the South and the bigger, greater Nigeria South. At that time, the blocks were too divided. There were frontiers and barriers between the Hausa, the Yoruba, and then the Igbo. So that one you can understand. So the Biafra war was created by even the governor time. By the time of the British, that was when the Biafra war was arranged. When there was an attempt, say, no more person divide Nigeria into three because the country needs one. That is also another, because look at Biafra now. Look at the coverage. And the population. There are more than 1,700 million. And in that case, there was a case. But we are talking about a small pocket of about 200 people. Only one town. Papa ne tija sekan. Ebiso atimepe, ebiso ofiho, ebiso ofiho hwai. And ebisa say Greater Ghana and the Greater Volta region, are they in support? So you support, that's why secessionists there, you call for referendum. Tanya no. Secessionists, you call for referendum. Say yan to aba, Volta region. Wa opese udi Papa V, Ekot Western Togoland no, moko. And when we know the Volta region population of Ghana, around 2.53 million, the whole Volta region, Nasi engage you in the referendum. Nasi nipan 2 million say ya remaining Ghana. So be the case. It bust up out there. But so when call for referendum, now starting out shebas. Now starting out person kum nipa. Now starting out prepare police. Now starting out abducted there. It is a complete criminal offense than calling for secession.